Hi, and welcome to 6 Minutes Saturday. I'm Tina Powell of C-Suite Social Media, here to bring you great marketing tips to help you grow your business in 6 minutes or more, because you know that I normally run over. Today's broadcast is episode 20. We're going to be talking about social media roles and responsibilities. But before we get into that, I have something really important to just share. So allow me to just flip my screen over here. And now let's, not going to start the timer but just yet, but here's what I wanted to share. So if you'll notice, for the last 3 weeks, I have not recorded any 6 Minutes Saturday, and that's because I have a very good reason. Yes, I was away. On a dream vacation to Italy. I highly recommend you take a trip to Italy, no matter what. You absolutely must do it. And this picture is from the Colosseum. And here's our tour guide right over here. He's the man in the right. And he was just outstanding. And by the way, I booked that tour the last minute using a service called the A Tour on TripAdvisor. So TripAdvisor was spot on. Shout out to TripAdvisor, because they made the vacation ever so sweet because of the different excursions and things that we did. But anyway, so I wanted to just share this picture with you. Please do me a favor and get to Italy. This was just probably one of the big highlights of the tour. Just being able to get into the Colosseum. I've always seen it from the outside, but wow, incredible to just explore the ruins and get the backstory. So everybody, please get to Italy. And with that, let's start the timer for 6 minutes. We're going to be talking about social media roles and responsibilities. So here we go. 6 minute timer is set. Yes, roles and responsibilities. And the reason that I thought to talk about it is because it is ever most important. It's always been of significant importance, but even more now. If you'll recall, on October 1st, the SEC came out with a new mandate, and that is that social media, your social media platforms, and your social media channels must now be a part of your Form ADV. So I thought that this was a good time and a good opportunity to just talk a little bit about the social media compliance end of things and the roles, responsibilities. Not something that we love to talk about. I love to talk about strategy more than I want to talk about compliance, but we can't ignore compliance, and it precedes strategy, and it precedes anything that you're going to do in social media, even make decisions on what platforms that you're going to use. I want to call your attention, in addition to the SEC providing guidance, FINRA provides a lot of guidance, most recently on social media and digital communications. And you can find that guidance if you go directly to finra.org. I pulled out and I extracted these particular regulatory notices because they deal with a lot of the nuances of the electronic communications and social media. However, and I am not a compliance attorney, and we're going to get into this in a second, you must absolutely make sure that you are in constant communication with your chief compliance officer before you undertake any type of social media initiative in your firm. And I think that that's obvious, but I just wanted to state that. So again, you have these notices. Go to finra.org and check out these particular notices that talk about social media and electronic forms of communication. With that, I would say the most important piece of advice that I can give you, and the thing that I hope that you'll remember, besides booking that trip to Rome, is that please capture all forms of business communications you should be doing that regardless and conduct regular electronic communication reviews. And what I like to tell my clients as far as social media is concerned is that it's not all of a sudden that social media opened up this new channel that you can speak and say whatever you want. So in the same way that you wouldn't talk about performance in an email or promise a certain return to a prospect or any of that, anything like that, it's still the same with social media. You're basically, we use it as an amplification tool and as a way to reach people we might not have otherwise reached without it. So again, making sure that you are conducting regular, performance reviews of your electronic communications is really paramount. And again, with the Chief Compliance Officer. One of the most important things surrounding social media is actually social media archiving. And I wanted to point out 3 important tools that that are leaders in the industry for actually doing that. And they're very, very affordable. So you probably have heard about Smarsh. What I like about Smarsh is that they have a very attractive price. I want to say that they start out at about maybe $130 per month per firm. And that's very, very affordable. Smarsh also too integrates with a lot of the social media platforms, as well as even the social media scheduling softwares like Hootsuite. Archive Social is another platform. It's a little bit more expensive than Smarsh. Again, you'll check on the nuances between other platforms and other programs here, but these programs or these software technologies have also been, I think, approved, I'll use that word in air quotes, from SEC and FINRA. Global Relay, I can't give you pricing because that's specific to you and your firm, but if you wanted something that was more of an all-encompassing tool, Global Relay will not only archive social, but they'll also archive your email and even websites. Remember, all of this comes under the electronic communications. So remember, as we're thinking about the responsibilities, I put the responsibilities before the role, because the responsibilities are more important than your role. If you can't fulfill the responsibilities, then you should not have the role. But social media compliance is the most important thing. Again, refer to the archiving tools that we just talked about. Also, too, you need to make sure that your employees are trained on the proper use of electronic communications and or registered. I have a Series 65. I think it's really paramount for your marketing people, certainly your access people, need to be registered, and not only on what electronic communications and social media protocol looks like, but as well as understanding the other important areas of your firm as well. So you also need to include copies of written and informal policies and procedures concerning the use of electronic communications in the same way that you would do for trading and rebalancing and portfolio management. Also, too, the SEC loves to see evidence of how you are actually monitoring those firms. And again, the tools and technologies that we pointed on the other page, the Smarshes of the world, are really good at actually providing that evidence base that the SEC is looking for. Retention and maintenance of records, again, make it easy on yourself. Tools and technologies are there to help with this because it is a daunting task. The last thing that I'll talk about, of course, our 6 minutes is up, so hit the stop right now if you don't want to go beyond the 6 minutes. I'm going to give it the last minute. Let's just talk a little bit about role, and then we'll say goodbye. Okay, social media, what is the role of that social media person inside your firm? Well, they're probably doing a lot of other things. They might handle marketing events. They might handle just your regular communications and your messaging to your clients. But so the role of social media usually comes under the umbrella of that communications person, specialist, marketing manager, maybe even business development. So let's talk about that person's role. What do they need to do? What falls under their umbrella? Well, social media strategy, because you're not just doing social media for social media's sake. You need to make sure that you are doing so with specific goals and objectives, because each platform is different and each campaign is different. Building audiences is really an important part of social media. It's who do you want to see to receive that messages? Who is it that you're trying to talk to and reach? The management of social media brand accounts. Now, your firm might have one or it might have many. I would say start off really small. Instead of thinking that you have to blanket the social media space, start off with one. However, it might make sense to make sure that you reserve the social media accounts on all of the other platforms. You can keep them silent until you are ready to engage with them. Design social media and implement social media campaigns. This is a big responsibility. Again, social media is becoming pay for play. What that means is that if you want to reach more people, you have to design ads and pay for ads, design campaigns and audiences to reach those people. Let's look at the fifth role aspect of that social media responsibility here. You must monitor and respond to social media engagement. I recently worked with a client and nobody was really paying attention. We found out by looking at the social media archives that nobody was paying attention to people actually commenting or liking, and that's really an important part of social media. It's actually what people expect on social media. If they're going to comment, at least to show that you've seen that comment by putting by putting a like or a heart on Instagram if you're on Instagram. And the last we'll talk about, which we talked about before, social media responsibility for policies, supervision, retention of records. I will tell you, it is a daunting task. Use technology, use some of the products that we talked about. Again, you can employ them for a reasonably low cost, but do make sure that if you are doing social media, that you are taking that role and responsibility really seriously. Make sure that you people are fully trained and that everyone is aware on the things that they should and shouldn't do on social media. If you have any questions, you can email me, tina@csuitesocialmedia.com. And as usual, you can text the word Tina to 444-999 if you want to get on our email list. So everyone, ciao, and have a super great weekend, and happy Mother's Day to all the great moms out there, including my mom. Big shout out for my mom. Okay, bye. Love ya.